Many painters prefer to have a pencil drawing on their canvas before they start to paint, to make sure that the main features and the proportions are right from the beginning and they don't have to come back to it later to correct it. If this is your preferred working method as well, but your drawing skills are not the best, then I would like to show you 3 ways that can help you to make an accurate drawing before you start to paint. The first method can help you to transfer your reference image to your canvas without any scaling, any size change. To make this demo quick and easy, I drew this shape as my reference. This is the shape I want to transfer. But once you get the hang of these methods, you can use them for anything. Portraits, landscapes, still lifes, you name it. First, I will add some reference lines in the middle of the page, drawing a horizontal and a vertical axis. You can print out your reference photo and draw on it, or use an app to add lines if you are working on a screen. Next, take the surface where you want to transfer your picture, for example your canvas, add the same axis in the middle. The only extra thing that I will need is a common thread. Grab a piece about 50 centimeters or 20 inches long, twist it around both of your index fingers and keep some distance between them to use your thumbs and nails for measuring distances between points. Place one nail on the vertical axis and the other on a point you want to transfer. Make sure the thread is perpendicular to the axis and it is tight. Transfer this distance to the canvas by scratching a little mark with your nail. This mark will be enhanced with a pencil. To complete the transfer of the point, repeat the measurement from the horizontal axis. Be careful to keep the thread fixed while moving from the reference picture to the canvas. Now, you have the distance of the point from both axes, and their intersection will show you exactly where to draw the point. I know this might sound a bit like geometry class, but trust me, this method is super accurate if it is done right. It's totally worth the effort. I repeat this for all 4 points. If you are making a portrait, these points could be the corners of the eyes and lips and the highest and lowest points of these features. Just a few key points on the most important features can make a huge difference. I have used this method in some of my early drawings and it works for any subject. Once I have all 4 points, I connect them and my shape is transferred, no corrections needed. The second option is using the same idea of measurement but by using a proportion divider. This is a very simple tool with 2 arms that are connected with a movable screw. The arms open and depending on the position of the screw, the openings on the 2 sides can be the same or different. In this way, it's easy to transfer and also to scale the drawing while keeping the proportions perfectly the same. I can loosen the screw and move it into different slots as you see here. For example, this last slot gives me the biggest possible scaling. I can measure the distances of my reference and make them much smaller or much bigger on my canvas. To demonstrate, I will adjust the screw to select a scaling that makes my drawing a bit bigger than the original. Once the screw is set, I will keep it in the same slot for the whole drawing. Sorry about the overexposed image here, I did not notice it while filming, so it might be a bit hard to see sometimes, but I think you will still get the idea. I start the measurement from the vertical axis, then rotate the divider and use it in the opposite end on my canvas to transfer the measurement. I repeat this for all points, both in the vertical and the horizontal axis. With this method, you don't actually need to use the axis if you prefer not to. Instead of measuring points and distances from the axis, you can directly measure the size of features and the distances between them. Once I have all points I need, I connect them and my shape is transferred to the canvas just a bit bigger than the original. This third technique is a bit more advanced. This method is a freehand drawing and entirely scalable. so you can make your reference larger or smaller, it's up to you. First, it's very important to ensure the width to length ratio of your canvas matches that of your reference image. My reference paper is 14.8 cm by 21 cm, so to scale up by 1.5 times, my canvas needs to be 22.2 cm by 31.5 cm. I have already prepared the size and drawn the horizontal and vertical reference axis on it. You actually don't need to have the axis if you don't want. I use it because for me it is helpful, but also for this method it is not needed at all. Now I will do my best to draw this shape freehand. If you are working on a landscape or portrait or something more difficult, you don't need to draw the whole reference image. Just mark the main features and their estimated proportions and size. I could have just added the 4 key points and some estimated angles. But for this demo, I will show you the full shape from the start, so it's much more interesting. Here, this is my shape after the freehand drawing. It's clear that it's a bit off and needs some correction. To pinpoint what needs fixing, I will overlap my drawing with the reference shape. Take a photo of both your drawing and your reference. If your reference is already a photo, great. If it is printed or if you are working from live, take a photo of it. When taking a photo, hold your camera as parallel to your canvas as possible and avoid any rotation to prevent distortion. Your camera app might have a grid to help with alignment. Once you have a photo, crop it to include only the canvas, leaving no extra edges. I have a Google Pixel phone. By default, I have this option to crop it with the so-called perspective crop tool. This crops the image by defining the 4 edges only, so everything within those 4 edges will be kept. Once this is done, I save it. And it looks quite good, but be careful, this type of cropping adds a slight distortion to your photo, so a very well aligned initial photo is required. If you do not have a perspective crop tool, you can find many apps by searching for photo crop perspective. Since I do not have a reference photo, I will follow the same steps with my reference shape. Once I have both images, I will overlap them using Canva. First, I add my reference photo, then my hand drawing on top. The image sizes might not be the same, but since the proportions are the same, I can resize the image to match the corners perfectly. Now they should be perfectly overlapped. I use the transparency tool to see the difference between the reference and the hand drawing. I also check if the axes are overlapping. If not, I know that something went wrong during the photo taking or the cropping or the overlapping process. With the axes perfectly overlapping, now I can only focus on the shape. My drawing clearly needs significant corrections, which is normal for the first attempt. I only drew the top right edge correctly. The other angles and points needs adjusting. I leave the transparency at around 50% and I use it to apply these corrections to my hand drawing. It's very useful to see the relative differences between the reference and my drawing. After correcting, I repeat this process. I take a photo, I crop it, and I overlap it again with my reference. You can also do this overlapping in Procreate, Photoshop, and many other applications. Usually, after the first correction, the drawing looks almost final. For example, I only need one last small adjustment. That's why I recommend starting with just a simple hand drawing, only marking the main features and their size and proportions. Once those are correct, you can add more details. Actually, if you want me to make a full drawing demo using this method, let me know in the comments. But based on this short video, you should already be able to use it effectively. I see one more small correction that I need on the left edges, but otherwise it looks very good, much better. So I went back, made those corrections, and my shape was done. It's perfectly the same as the reference, 1.5 times bigger without any distortions. If you are not sure which method is the best for you, I have written a simple document comparing these three methods, highlighting their pros and cons. So click in the link below to get the PDF file. If you found this video helpful, please like it and let me know in the comments which method you will try next. Subscribe to my channel for more art tips, and I hope to see you in the next one.